This is breaking. The Mets have made a big trade, and this has serious implications. Well, David Stearns has pulled the trigger, and the media and fans are reacting. This polarizing trade will impact the Mets in 2025 and beyond. I'm Adam Choit, your host for today here on Mets Digest. And before we dig in and all that, I just want to give you guys a quick reminder to please subscribe, because as you can see, nearly 68% of you guys watching these videos are not subscribed. So please take a quick second to do that. It only takes a moment. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Let's get into it. The Mets have made a big trade. Let's pull it up right here and dive right into it. This is from Jeff Passan per Joel Sherman, and the Mets paid a very hefty price for Tyler Rogers, of course, the submarine reliever from the Giants. They traded right-hander José Buttó, outfield prospect Drew Gilbert, and right-handed pitching prospect Blade Tidwell, who's was up at the major league level a little bit this season with the Mets. Those three are headed to San Francisco, a source said, and it is confirmed. It is official. It has been done. And, of course, I'm recording this shortly after the Mets just got swept by the San Diego Padres. So I wonder if there's extra pressure on David Stearns to make a move in light of the Mets' current losing streak, let's call it. Not the best series for the Mets out in San Diego. They were outclassed, outplayed in every aspect of the game. And with the trade deadline approaching this week, one can't help but think that the losing contributed to them pulling the trigger on a move that many think that the Mets gave up too much in to acquire this reliever. But let's dig a little bit more into the story itself. Two of the players New York is sending to San Francisco were a bit superfluous, given how their farm system and big league team is shaking out. Tidwell, who debuted earlier this season, could possibly stick in someone else's big league rotation, but he was behind fellow pitching prospects Nolan McLean, Brandon Sproat, and Jonah Tong when it came to upside. Meanwhile, Gilbert, who was having a strong season for AAA in Syracuse, was possibly blocked at the major league level when it came to New York's long-term plans. That's from Danny Abriano from SNY. Let's continue on here. The Mets have Juan Soto and Brandon Nimmo entrenched in the corner outfield spots, plus prospects Jet Williams and Carson Benge in AA, and likely to be ready at some point in 2026. Buttó, who posted a 2.55 ERA for the Mets last season, had struggled badly lately, including an outing on Tuesday night where he allowed 5 runs in just 1 2/3 innings for the season. He had a 3.64 ERA and a 1.38 WHIP in 47 innings over 34 games. So not the best season for Buttó, and we'll dig into the numbers on all these players involved in the trade in a momentarily. But we can't help but I think it's important to note that these are human beings, and this is my first video being recorded on this channel during a trade of this sort where players are switching franchises and being traded. So I want to be sensitive to that. And you could see during the game earlier today, and the clips were making the rounds on social media, that Buttó was emotional. He'd been with the Mets for 9 years, and he was told about the news in the bullpen. You could see he heard about it before it was official, and it was just rumors on social media. So one can't help but think of the Wilmer Flores situation in 2015, where a player thought he was getting traded in the middle of a game. But these are humans. They have emotions and ties to the organization and friends. I'm sure the Mets organization felt like family to Buttó, so wishing him the best of luck. And he was a very good Met, and I'm going to show you his numbers in a second, and that might make you watchers of this video feel one way or another about the trade itself. But let's continue on with the story here. Rogers is certainly one of the more unique relievers in baseball as a 34-year-old submarine who doesn't throw hard and has never been much of a strikeout pitcher, but also rarely walks anyone and has consistently served as a workhorse for the Giants pitching staff. He is in the midst of one of the better seasons of his career, as he has thus far put up a 1.80 ERA and a league-leading 53 appearances, good for a 1.6 BWAR. He will be a free agent at the end of this season, but the Mets will hope that he can be an important piece of their 2025 playoff run before then. That's Michael Drago. Apologize that I'm not sure how that's pronounced, but that's him on Amazing Avenue contributing that info about Rogers. As for what the Mets are giving up, it's not particularly surprising that any of the individual players are being used as trade chips, though seeing them all go in the same deal for a guy the Mets will only have for 2 months, at that is fairly surprising. Buttó has endured some ups and downs, but has shown a lot of promise at times, pitching in relief, and has multiple years of team control remaining. Again, that's Michael from Amazing Avenue. And we're starting to get into more of the reactions to this trade in terms of what the Mets gave up and what they're getting back. And we can dig into some more of the reaction from fans and media and some of the numbers of some of these players as well. This right here, these are Tyler Rogers' statistics here. And as you can see, he's been a pretty awesome pitcher with a 1.1 whip. That is certainly tantalizing. This is my favorite word when I see elite stats flash on the screen. A 2.79 career ERA, and really since his rookie year when he got his feet wet, throwing 17 2/3 innings in 2019, this has been his most productive year. A .86 whip. That is what the Mets are getting. That's what the Mets hope they are getting when they get him into the blue and orange very soon. But yeah, very, very stellar numbers. 34 years old, though, and a free agent at the end of the year. So that is definitely something to keep. Those are things to keep in mind as well with this trade. These right here are Drew Gilbert's minor league stats. And although he's gotten a little bit hotter since the 1st of June in the minor leagues, his overall minor league OPS isn't particularly eye-popping, to say the least. You can see right here that he has a 752 OPS in AAA with 600 at-bats. His career minor league OPS is 811. So that's solid, but in the minor leagues, you really want to see prospects tearing it up. So that's just a little bit of background on Drew Gilbert. And these right here are Blade Tidwell's numbers. As you can see, he did not flash very much in the major leagues and show the Mets much in his cup of coffee. 15 innings, 23 hits. The whip is very high, as is the ERA. And even looking at his minor league career right here, you can see that the 1.335 whip is far from dominant. You would like to see something better than that. But he is a prospect, certainly. And per MLB.com, they have Tidwell as the Mets' 10th best prospect and Drew Gilbert as 12th. And we'll get into some more later on about some of the other prospects. And we've already touched on it a little bit in terms of the pitchers that the Mets are keeping and some of the outfielders, of course, too. I'm looking for this right here. These are Buttó's numbers. That's what we're looking for right here. I wanted to share Buttó's numbers because he's been a good Met. We can be victims of recency bias, certainly, given his awful outing the other day. But looking at his career, this man has a 3.13 whip, a 3.13 ERA, and a 1.23 whip. All pretty solid, almost a strikeout per inning, and overall less hits per innings in his career, despite this year being a little bit higher in terms of his whip, really since his cup of coffee rookie season. But he's been a positive WAR player. He's been a pretty consistent pitcher for the Mets, always willing to take the ball, relief, middle relief, starting. He's started a handful of games over the years, as you can see, 15, none this year, but 7 2024, 7 and 20-3. So always been a good Met. Just takes the ball whenever it's being given to him. If anything, I mean, for sure that he's been overused and maxed out at certain points by managers over the years. Have to be careful with that. But wishing him the best of luck moving forward, certainly. And here's some more of the reaction. We'll dig in more into reactions now. This is from Jeff Passan. Tyler Rogers is a really good submariner who doesn't throw hard but just gets outs. He has a 1.80 ERA this season, a 2.74 ERA over the past 5 years. Consistent relievers are hard to come by, and Rogers, who's a free agent after this season, has been a model of consistency. Yes, that's a known thing. It's not an old wives' tale. Relievers, I truly believe, are you can't really rely on them from year to year. They're very up and down. They're just up and down, perhaps more than any other position in baseball. A bat is a bat as a start, but something about relievers, maybe it's something to do with the fact that if you have one bad outing, your ERA just can zoom up very, very high really fast. And if you have 2, 3, 4 of those, it's hard to come back from that. And then you look at it at the end of the year, and you did not have a great year. This is Casey, KCJ_516. Wholly overpay. Rogers is good, but that's way too much. Here's a couple of there were so many interesting reactions, so I spliced them into a graphic here so we can dig in on all of them. This is from Unbiased Mets Fan. I think value-wise on a chart, they certainly overpaid, but they also got an elite reliever for the rest of 2025. Both can be true. Also, a couple other factors, as both prospects are older and are going to be Rule 5 eligible. Buttó has no options, which all factored in. That's the Mets X. And New York sports fan man, they like Benge more than Gilbert. And we only have one outfield spot open in the near future. The price of good relief pitching is steep. Rogers is having a great year, and this is a win-now team, and our farm system is deep, so you do what you have to do. I hate to trade Gilbert for a rental reliever, but that's the Mets' new reality. We are expected to win every year. Isn't this what we always wanted? And Cespedes Family Barbecue. Rogers is really good, but sheesh, these reliever prices are very high. That just seems to be the market. That's going to be something that that's definitely part of the story. That's what the trade deadline is. The Mets were not the only team looking for help in the pen during this trade deadline as it approaches. Talking Mets podcast, expensive as I said. Cohen tax. The Mets don't get away cheap. Here's James Shiano going through the range of emotions here. Okay, never mind, less excited. He was excited about the trade, and then he saw the what the Mets were giving up in Buttó, Tidwell, and Gilbert. Okay, never mind, much less excited. And then sometime later, I guess at the end of the day, this is what he says. I guess at the end of the day, Blade has an uphill battle to be a starter. Gilbert is not a center fielder, corner outfielder with air power. Buttó, totally fine, but inconsistent reliever. More like this year, but none more Stearns guys. Clean up the 40-man roster spots, and you pay for a 180 RA consistent reliever. That's some more reaction from that. And this is Gary Cohen right on the broadcast per SNY TV. Rogers will help, but that's a lot to give up. That's Gary Cohen right there. If the Mets extend Rogers and can get some more years out of him, and he's a elite or near elite reliever, that could sway minds certainly in terms of people who are not fans of this trade. Or if the Mets win the World Series, that will be another thing that the Mets fans can look to and be like, you know what, maybe this trade is actually worth it and was worth it in the end. Now, the other thing to think about is that, I think there's a certain Pete Crow Armstrong fear when it comes to trading prospects for rentals. I think Mets have been scarred by that. Mets fans are a little scarred by that, but we'll see what happens with Rogers in blue and orange. And I wanted to share this one last thread from Anthony DiComo here, because this goes into a little bit more detail in terms of what's the rationale behind all this. Why were the Mets willing to give up 3 notable pieces for a rental reliever in Tyler Rogers? A few reasons canvassed from talking to various folks around the league. This is, of course, Anthony DiComo, who covers the team for MLB.com. Rogers is really, really good and gives the club a different look out of the bullpen. He throws from a super unique arm angle, which is an asset in October. He's also extremely durable, and unlike most Mets relievers, is stingy with walks. He's a championship caliber arm. Although the Mets gave up 3 players, none have massive ceilings. The Giants could possibly stretch Buttó back out in the future, which might enhance his future value. He does have 5 years of team control left, but his walk rate, where was I there? I lost my first second there. But his walk rate has held him back thus far in his career. Scouts see Gilbert as a toolsy player who could become a steady regular, but not likely more than that. There are durability concerns there. Tidwell likely still must prove that he's a starter, not a reliever. At the highest level, he hasn't done that yet. None of this is to intimate that the cost to acquire Rodgers was cheap. It wasn't, but the price for high-impact pitching is always steep, and it seems especially so this year. At the end of the day, the Mets improved themselves without sacrificing the best of their farm system, and I think that's the bottom line for me right now. If any of these players that the Mets traded become superstars on other teams, don't come at me for that. Don't hate me for that. But at the same time, I think Mets fans should be happy that Jet Williams, Jonathan, Nolan McLean, Carson, Benge, Brandon Sproat are all still in the organization, as well as Mauricio and Beatty and Vientos, despite some of their struggles and ups and downs as young players, are still with the team. We shall see how things shake out in the next, 36 hours, 24 hours, however many hours, minutes, and seconds we are from the trade deadline. But what do you think about the trade? Is it too much? Was it necessary? What else do you think the Mets should do before this trade deadline ends? We'll see what happens tonight. Things are still happening. The hot stove is flaming hot, but comment below, subscribe, like, share, and let's go Mets.